Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel, and this is a video about the new moon in Pisces taking place on March 18th, 2026 at 9:23 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. This will be the Twin Flame Divine Counterpart Soulmate Collective update. I am so excited to be here with you for another lunation. I want to say I just realized as I closed out the Lightworker energy update that I forgot to share signs who are going to feel it most. So you'll find that in the pinned comment below the video um, for the Lightworker energy update for this lunation. But wow, what an incredible lunation we have. Here is our new moon in Pisces, and it's a rare energy because we see this new moon in Pisces in communication with every planet that does life-changing work, not just, oh, I'm going to invite you to change your hair color. I'm going to invite you to change your personal style. I'm going to invite you to take a class. This is the kind of energy that moves people across countries, changes relationship statuses. This is the kind of energy that um, people use to step into retirement, come out of retirement, change career paths, all of that. And so it has a special connection in our divine feminine energy fields because Juno is connected to Pluto, and she's also connected to this new moon. So, stay tuned. This is going to be a big one for our divine feminine energy fields. One thing I want to say really quick, if you haven't already considered joining Star Club, I encourage you to do so, especially if you've been hoping to get a reading with me in 2026. Star Club is the way to do that. It is a community for astrology lovers, and I just opened up a few more reading spots for those of you who want to get private readings with me. You can get counterpart readings. They are the same price. If you are a new moon or a full moon member, they're the same exact price, personal readings and relationship readings. They're 30 minutes, three of them comes with your package. And not only that, but if you are a new moon member, you can do three relationship readings, and that's up to 40% off. If you're a full moon member, you can get three relationship readings, and they're 25% off. I know that a lot of you are like, okay, Kay, I need to talk. When are you going to reopen readings? Star Club. You want me to read for you? Join Star Club. Even if you only join as a Stellium member, you get 25% off of readings. And so I would love, and you can cancel at any time after your trial period. So if you want to have me read for you, join Star Club. And that way I can look at your boss. I can look at your kid. I can look at your counterpart. I can look at your ex, whatever you want to do. And it's literally it's included in your package. It's the most effective way. I will also say that we have a lunar circle coming up this particular Friday, which I would love for you to be a part of because during our lunar circles, I either give out journal prompts for self-reflection or ritual work that you can do to harness the energy and really move it through your life. This new moon in Pisces, we're going to do some ritual work. If you're already a member of Star Club, welcome. I'm so glad you're there. Inside of your member area, I did post what you're going to need for the ritual work. It's not a whole lot. The ritual work is like 5 minutes. If that's all you time you have, we're not going to drag this out. But if you want to take longer, you absolutely can. If you want to go deep with it, you can do that. Plus, at every single live event, you can ask me questions. Just pop on. There's a space for Q&A at every single live event. We've got member voted live readings, we've got lunar circles, and then upcoming astro events. So as Uranus, the original divine counterpart, gets closer to Gemini, we're going to have a astro event that goes through all 12 signs for that. And then additionally, we're also going to do an all 12 signs for some of the other major planetary movements in the sky this year, like Jupiter moving into Leo. So I'd love to see you there. I think you're going to have a really good time. Everyone there has so far. And yeah, link to join is below this video. All right, let's do a recap of this new moon in Pisces. As I mentioned, it is in communication with all of the majors. Uranus is life change that moves at quantum speed, or is quantum change. It's big change all at once. Pluto is endings and closures, change. And then we have Saturn and Neptune in conjunction. This is the energy that asks us to really step into our self, autonomy, and our identity and really own who we are and what we want. In addition to that, we also have Chiron and Eris and Aries. It's just the fun doesn't stop. Like the sky keeps rolling out the hits. So, as my mom would say, we've got the Chiron and Eris in Aries component, just adding a little gas to that fire. So it's a lot. Vesta and Chariklo as well, really holding our fingers to the fire. Nessus conjunct this new moon to make sure to guarantee to lock in that our life cannot continue to stay the way it was. And I know a lot of you already know that. These eclipses made it clear this new moon in Pisces energy is only doubling down on the fact that you have to step into a new chapter and a new season, because whatever the last chapter or season was, it's not gonna work. It's already crumbling. It's already disintegrating. And trying to hold on to it is just going to cause wreckage in your life. And some of you have already experienced that. So let's get into talking about Juno and her experiences at this new moon. We do see a sextile to the new moon energy, while she is also conjunct Pluto, and the new moon is conjunct Saturn and Neptune in Aries there. And Nessus, because why not? Why not? Sure, come along. It's a party. Everything I said in the Lightworker energy update about how this new moon impacts partnerships, it applies doubly for the divine feminine energy. And we all have divine feminine energy, regardless of what kind of body you incarnated into. Everything that I said. I included a particular note for partnerships because of her position, so I'm not going to rehash that here. But what I can add to that is that she is coming into an energy of personal power and amplification of power the closer she gets to Pluto. In proximity to Pluto, there's a sense of power waxing, power building and growing in our divine feminine energy field. So if you felt fatigued or tired leading up to this, you may start to feel your engine kicking on during and after this full moon. And this can enhance your ability to shift. Instead of being responsive to changes, you can guide changes. Instead of feeling like you're getting dragged by energy, you can start to tell the energy what you need it to do in your life and use it constructively. So I do like to see that. This aspect is officially calling us out of healing mode and into decisive change. Because one of the things I've really noticed about our community at large, divine counterparts, soulmates, twin flames, fill in the blank with whatever, karmic partners, whatever you want, call it whatever you want. Um, One of the things I've noticed at large in the community is this sort of hyper focus. I guess that's the word I would like to use. It's a hyper focus on healing and a absolute abdication of personal power, personal mastery, your divinity, your capacity to create and change. Everything is left up, and that you can, I'm probably the only astrologer who's going to tell you this. People rely too heavily on the construct of divine timing. They rely too heavily on the idea of the divine doing for them what the divine empowered them to do for themselves. They rely too much on healing and do way too little of having, of just experiencing, of allowing, of stepping into, of generating change, of being change. And so I say that not because I don't think healing has an appropriate place. It does. We need it. It's appropriate. But when we do it at the expense of ownership of our capacity and right for divine manifestation, cultivation, and change, when we do healing at the expense of that, this is how connections like these stall. You get overwhelmed with emotion, flooded with big feelings, and then the more you look for things to heal, because this is the way the third dimension works. This is the way manifestation and creation works. The more you look for things to heal, the more things to heal there's going to be. There's ad infinitum past lives for you to discover. Trauma activations and reactivations for you to spend years trying to heal. There are wounds that have scars that, upon looking at, can remind you of the moment again and again and again and again and again. You can spend this and several other lifetimes just focusing on trying to heal a trauma, an attachment issue, a wound. You can do that until the cows come home. But as long as you are consistently focused on that, more of that is what you're going to get. And I bring this up at this new moon in Pisces because it is so dominant with cardinal and mutable energy. Because Juno, the divine feminine, is sitting with the planet that deals with personal power. And that power is speaking to the new moon. This is meant to be catalytic, not cathartic. This is meant for us to move, not wallow. Okay? And so, listen, I believe in healing. I love my healers. Y'all know I love me some Lee and Sherry. I love Lana. I'm gonna have them on the channel again and again and again. There is a time and a place for it. I'm just saying that this new moon in particular is not it. This is the new moon for action. Heal, yes. Sign up for the programs if you know you need it. Get it. Don't not get it. But heal and activate. You can do both at the same time. In fact, life has demanded that you do. There have been plenty of times where, maybe, you have had a problem with your family and you got wounded in the process and you had to work through the wounding while simultaneously packing up to move or relocate. You had a problem at a job and you got traumatized with what was going on with a coworker and you had to simultaneously fulfill your job function at the same time. Healing doesn't have to stop your union or hold up your union. Healing and union, it can be simultaneous. That's what I want to convey. And I'm harping on this because of the way Pluto is communicating with Juno. This is asking everyone who has divine feminine energy, which is all of us, regardless of your body. All of us have this energy, and we're being invited to step into our power at the start of this retrograde, this Juno retrograde. Juno goes into shadow on March 14th, so just before this new moon in Pisces. And as she comes out of shadow, she's going to talk to Pluto again. But what this means is that this is a time for activation, not allowing and waiting and surrendering. It's a time for dynamic doing. Like really touch, put your hands on the fabric of your life. Don't wait. Like you are the divine. God put the spark in you when he breathed life into you. Take a step. There was a song I used to be obsessed with. Um, as I wrapped up high school, it's going to date me a minute. It came out in the late 2000s. I can't remember the name of the band. Lifehouse or something? I don't remember. Lighthouse. Y'all might remember it in the comments, but the song was called I Dare You to Move. That's the message these planets here have for the divine feminine energy. Dare you to move. Like make a move. That's the energy here. Now, I'm not saying railroad anybody. Y'all know I don't. If you've been given a red light, a do not contact signal, don't railroad people. Don't get the cops called on you. You know I don't want that to happen to you. But I'm saying where there is like stalled communication and both of y'all are like, I don't know why they're not calling me. They're not calling me. We're in no contact. Why are you in no contact? Well, he hasn't called me. Why hasn't he called you? Why haven't you called him? Well, because he didn't respond the way I thought he would to my last text message. This energy, I'm sure you already feel it, has got pressure on your fingers. They're right up at the edge of the fire. Make something happen. You reach out. You do it first. It's okay. Did it first in the past. That's fine. This is a different period. It's a different time. The energy's rendering differently now. Use it. Use it. Why not? God made these stars for you. Use them. Neptune is trying to get you to really understand some spiritual things. And the material is spiritual. Don't let anybody tell you different. Saturn's trying to get you to have some discipline, some boundaries, some backbone. Pluto wants you to really stand up for yourself and move. And this new moon is like rocking your self-conscious, the subconscious, and going, let's get to the root of why this is stuck. Sometimes no communication it's like default mode because people have bought into the twin flame story so hard that all they believe in is separation. Separation is optional, y'all. I just want you to know that. It is absolutely optional. And those of you who did the union workshop with myself in Romania last year, you know this. You understand this. Okay? I love y'all. Do not, this energy is saying do not be habituated to separation, like habituated animals in captivity. Don't be habituated to separation. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You know I love y'all and I want you to have what you want. And this energy is backing me up and saying, and backing you up and saying you can have it, but you're going to have to take some actions to get it. Okay. Giving up some old stories now. Good old friends want to add to the mix Chiron and Eris and Aries, along with Ceres up there. The challenge in that is that we may all be just a little bit, a little teensy weensy bit in our feelings, especially if there has been enough tension in the connection to formulate a sense of rejection or not good enoughness or abandonment, which I get. Look, we've all been there. On both sides of every connection, both people at some point do end up feeling rejected, abandoned, misunderstood, not good enough. Accessing that personal power is going to require us to work through the perception of our own woundedness. Hear the word I just said. A perception can be changed. It's just a lens, and we can always change the frame. A change in perspective is what can have this render as more woundedness and repeating a healing loop, or render as your gateway to spiritual leadership in your connection. You can pull the connection onto a new timeline here by just stepping onto it yourself. Or you can remanifest the last one. It's a matter of how you choose to see the unfoldments, because your perspective is going to dictate your actions, reactions, and non-actions, and the way those impact the fabric of our reality. In the format of spiritual leadership and connection, this right here is the energy of taking accountability for where the connection has mirrored back our own insecurity or our own non-readiness. That the reality is we've never not been creating. Even now, you're still creating in the connection. We're creators incarnate. The cardinal energy, as Juno and Capricorn and Aries hosting Eris and Chiron, those are both cardinal signs. The cardinal energy is about choosing again, doing something new, recognizing that there is a mirror in the way that both people feel insecure at times in the connection, and that this isn't about healing that, this is about owning uniqueness and how your life experience has fortified you, prepared you, made you ready for exactly this, a time such as this. And this is about allowing ourselves to soften with compassion, where there is recognition of mutual soul wounds, and release the need to earn connection or union, and instead recognizing that as is, as you are, you and them, you're enough, and you can have it now. For many, this energy has been building and generating the end of separation, the end of trauma cycles. I've been seeing a lot of folks, even those in union, who are coming to the end of, healing cycles and just stepping into growth together, having together. The end of no communication cycles, because they've been able to effectively release past perspectives about that person is so wounded, they're so avoidant, releasing all those labels, and instead starting to anchor that person in their light and allowing that, which allows space. This is manifestation 101. That allows that person to start to show up in the light. When you no longer over-identify in your attachment to them having something to heal, they stop looping and healing, and they can come forward in their light energy. Okay. Um, it's a bit advanced, I know, for some people. But if you get it, you get it. We're at a place where I need to be able to say advanced things to the audience, and somebody needs you to, if you need somebody to explain it, drop it in the comments. I promise you somebody in this community will. We have a very generous community. Okay. Especially with this new moon's energy, you're going to be able to shift perspectives. New moon in Pisces. Pisces governs the water. The moon is a reflector of the sun. The water is our first mirror. Before there were metals that were refined or glass that was refined for mirrors, the way we could see our own reflection was when we looked in the water. New moon in Pisces, we have ample opportunity to see the mirror here. And then step into new action, which makes the whole thing mirror back in a new way. Okay. Um, Huge opportunity to, if you've been stuck in non-forgiveness, bracing for hurt and playing small in the connection, repeating, looping arguments in your head or out loud with the person, there is a chance to release that spiritually now with this new moon, and at the root with this. And a big part, that's a big part of what we're going to be doing with the ritual work in Star Club. So, especially if you felt like your connection has been stuck in union or not. If you're stuck in a stuck place, join Star Club. We're going to get into how to release some of this. Juno here, along with her friend Pluto. I say friend like that because Pluto is a friend, but Pluto can be pushy. There's also trining Uranus there in Taurus. And this is the energy that's bringing change and up level, whether we want it or not. So, since it's going to do it anyway, we might as well tell the energy how we want it to up level. And that's the ritual work we'll be doing in Star Club. Now, broadly, this is surprises in partnership that seem to come out of nowhere. The kinds of surprise that changes the structure of the connection overnight, because we're talking about Taurus, Earth sign, Capricorn, Earth sign, structural, 3D, physical. These are the kind of changes that are things that are like moving stages and up-leveling the connection all at once. And in some cases, even skipping steps, like from no contact straight into proposal and marriage, or divorced to we're getting remarried, or living across country to jumping continents together. Now, that can happen at any time, of course, but there's extra astrological support for those kinds of things to happen right now with ease and speed. And here's what I'm going to leave you with. If you're listening to this and going, I wish, but not my person, it'll never change. They can't change. It's stuck. That'll maybe happen for somebody else, but not me. The thing that I really love about the way this dimension is designed for us is that these planets very rarely, if ever, override our sovereignty. So they'll say, your wish is my command. I'd have to bring change energy one way or another. So if you're not interested in change that moves forward, I can make change that causes things to fall back. I can make change that causes things to go deeper, farther into separation, into no contact. I can make change that I'm here to make partnership changes, but you don't seem to want a partnership with this person because you only ever think negative thoughts about them. No problem. I'll bring you somebody new and them somebody new. Right? So hear me when I say how powerful you are and how loving our universe is. Getting right with your connection and your person and doing the forgiveness work. And this is a great new moon for forgiveness work. Neptune, Pisces, great new moon for it. Getting right with your connection in whatever stage or kind of shape it's in, this is the time to do it. Especially if you've been stuck in that, like, you know, if not marriage partner, why marriage partner shaped kind of place with your connection. This is the time to really have that breakthrough. Okay. We also see a semi-sextile Chariclo here to Juno, Vesta here to Pluto. This is blessings inside of Juno's space and intercession in her space. I want to be clear, this is not intervention. This is intercession. Intervention is where a spiritual force can course correct for you. Intercession is when a spiritual force supports what you're asking for and helps move it into existence. One, you direct. The other, the planets, the energies direct. This is intercession, which is where you are directing it. Okay. There's also a little bit of intervention energy in the new moon as a whole with change, but ultimately how that changes, how things change, it's going to be so important to not be in victim consciousness. as we move through this so that that doesn't amplify. Okay. Because if we're in that victim consciousness, man, or we have like our ask is undefined, or the manifestation is double-minded or split, you want this, but you kind of don't, but you're not sure, and only if, this is where mixed results can show up, and we get circumstances that become more complicated or more separated. Okay. We also see the trine aspect gives Uranus easy access to Juno's field. It doesn't guarantee a result other than change, but what kind of change? That's going to depend on our frequency as this new moon perfects. Um, and Juno has this little dance with Pluto and Uranus before she goes retrograde. Okay, so that's it for the divine feminine energy. Listen, if you know you need some coaching around this, if you know you're like, okay, I get what she's saying, but I don't know what that's going to mean for me given where we're at, let me look at your charts. Join Star Club as a full moon or a new moon member. I will walk you through what this means. I will answer your questions when we have our live workshops together so that you have the support you need to get on a new timeline instead of looping. Okay? Link to do that is below this video. Let's talk about Jupiter, our divine masculine energy. Jupiter is finally direct. Woo! Ooh, I was waiting on that. Jupiter in Cancer is finally direct as of the last 24 hours of the time of me recording this, and it has been retrograde since November 11th of last year. It is now direct. With Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, um, square the shaman's asteroid, no less. Like the universe just wanted to like spell it out and make it plain for us. Shaman's asteroid is about learning lessons and bringing those lessons back into our life, and sharing those with other people after an arduous and long journey. This is the challenge to take what we've learned in partnership and balance it with our emotions. With Jupiter now direct, it's time to take the lessons from Jupiter's retrograde and turn them into application. So let's talk about what the lessons were. Let's get a quick recap going. Jupiter retrograde lessons included uh, number one, renegotiating relationships with mothers, mothering, and female authority figures, especially where there have been problems with boundaries or emotions. Too little, too much, oversharing, undersharing, parentification, emotional manipulation, these sorts of things. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer would have brought these things to the surface for renegotiation. Renegotiating where we live and home, whether it's the city, country, state. I don't know, maybe you want to move to Jupiter. I kind of do. Um, but where you live, what's home base, the building, the structure, the location, all of it up for renegotiation during the Jupiter retrograde. Now, the Jupiter is direct, you will have found, or you should be finding, some clarity and some final decisions here. Number three, managing generational and family inheritances, not just finances, but also traumas and the dynamics required for alignment with all parties involved. Number four, the fourth thing that this was meant for us to work on between last November and now. At the foundation of all of this, all three of those, and even if none of those three hit, this one is universal. This is renegotiating how we handle emotions. In shadow, Jupiter and Cancer energy is overly empathic, drowning in its own and others' emotions. This period would have shown us the consequence of that in no uncertain terms, especially now that empathy is being turned on for the collective en masse. As hard as all of the trauma that we're being shown in the collective is, and the divisiveness is that we're living through, one thing my guides have shown me is that the speed at which these changes are being thrust upon us is actually having the opposite effect of causing people to go to sleep. It's actually causing people to wake up and become less controllable, less manipulatable. It's causing people to question everything. It's causing third eyes to open. In addition to that, um, and we're going to talk more about that in Star Club, as this is more of a collective thing, not just a twin flame thing. But yeah, this Jupiter retrograde in Cancer was an important step for awakening at the personal level, because in our divine masculine energy field, it showed us where we've been operating in emotional imbalance. And like I said, that can be being too empathic, like having like too porous, letting too much in or too much out. So repressing too much and being rigid, dogmatic, and separate from our emotions, expressing and expelling too much, being so taken under by emotions and then having to vomit them on other people in a way that's not balanced, taking on too much and letting ourselves become responsible for other people's emotional process and baggage. Look, support's one thing, but assuming responsibility for somebody else's emotional process, that prevents real growth for both people. All of those emotional imbalances, this would have come with some power struggles as the retrograde started back in November, or ego ruptures when this transit began. We're going to revisit that, and that's because of Jupiter opposed Pluto at the start of the retrograde. It's going to oppose Pluto directly again. Yeah, as he comes out of shadow. So, um, some power struggles, ego ruptures back in November might have been part of the party. Um, so if we've been avoiding that, or the lessons that come with the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, they will get fully integrated at the end of May when Jupiter opposes Pluto again. Now, for those who are already integrating now, that time period opens up a massive, and I mean massive, manifestation window. Like, I'm talking about things appearing in your life out of nowhere. And for those who are shaking off soul sleep now, that period opens a guaranteed change window to nudge you along your path of evolution. Look, we're all going to get to the fifth dimension and higher. We're just not always taking the exact same route at the exact same pace, but we're all going to get there. The important thing to recognize about this with Jupiter and Cancer is that our emotions are a barometer. If we don't like the way we're feeling, changing actions changes outcomes. We can change the inputs if we want a different output. And this is amplified by the contacts with Pluto as Jupiter moves further and further out of shadow and completes the shadow period, emphasizing our personal power in situations, even if it is a challenge to pick it up and use or figure out how to use lovingly. The more we use our personal power here and integrate these lessons in partnership from the shaman's asteroid, the better it gets, the more we're able to balance and land union energy. And so I want to just highlight this is a really, really important step on our way toward the union window that opens in 2020, late 2027 into 2028 and 2029. Because that union window will be in the sign of Libra, which is partnership. Juno, the divine feminine, had some contact with the shaman's asteroid briefly when she was back in Capricorn dealing with Pholus last month, and I believe it was more like January. All of this is in divine right order. As complicated, as heavy, as challenging as some of this energy is right now, these tense, fraught lessons are laying the foundation for more and more and more union energy to show itself in the third dimension. We also see Jupiter in opposition to Pholus. And like I said, I'm seeing a lot of unions like open up now. Like there are some of you who have just been so diligent in the process and not just doing your healing work, but also doing your activation work. Like I am going to step into this and have this and be bold and take risks and show up, even if it's scary. I'm not going to back down. Some of you have been so good at both being the multidimensional being you are, not just being spiritual about it, but also tampering with the fabric of this in the third dimension in a way that's inviting for your counterpart, not triggering. Some of you have been so good at this that your unions are already here. Like, and I love it when y'all email me about this stuff because even though I don't always get a chance to respond, I love reading your stories. I really do. Like, you won't believe what happened, Kmu. There's been sudden movement. There's an opening. There's a change. Like things are moving. And I love hearing it. And I've gotten more of those emails lately. So for everyone listening who's like, why isn't it my turn? Take heart. Trust the process. Take the steps. It can and will happen for you. Just keep going. Okay. This opposition to Pholus for Jupiter opens up a bit of compromise in the field as it highlights the tension between emotions, that's Cancer, and our ongoing need for structure in the third dimension, that's Capricorn. You'll know things are not balanced emotionally here because the structure of something will get compromised at this time. Now, it could be something to do with work, that's Capricorn, or something to do with home, that's Cancer. Um, but it is something to do with the structure of the connection overall, if there's emotional imbalance. But where emotions are being dealt with correctly at this time, this is where the two of you may find it's like there are some ways in which you need to really protect your connection from world energy at this time. You might need to do a few more things at home with each other, with trusted loved ones, chosen family, because what's happening in the world is people are really struggling with the energy that's roaming through the collective of divisiveness and strife. Thank you, Eris and Chiron. But this energy is roaming and looking for places to land. And people who are open to divisiveness and strife because they still have something to work through concerning that, that energy will land with them, but it's also going to make them sometimes have behaviors that can undermine your connection. And if you're in union, you want to share a story about that, feel free to in the comments. Um, like, yeah, our next door neighbor started acting really weird, and we kind of had to separate or disconnect to let him work through his stuff because it wasn't good for or healthy for our relationship. You know, this kind of thing. But for those of you who don't um, have your connection established in third dimensional union quite yet, this energy is asking you in your divine masculine field to just pay attention to where there's structural compromise because of emotional imbalance inside of the connection. And that emotional imbalance is likely going to be mirrored in both people's divine masculine energy. Okay. Um, Once some key ways, again, emotional repression and suppression, emotional overexpression and dumping, assuming emotional responsibility for other people, codependency, but also withholding truth, withholding emotional truth, allowing people to think certain things are true that just aren't, or telling half-truths and letting other people fill in the blank, because if you fill in the blank, it's just going to make you look bad. These sorts of things. You're going to see that that sort of emotional imbalance within self. With Pholus opposite Jupiter, Jupiter also square the shaman's asteroid, that is going to cause the connection to go into some destabilization right now. And so if you're withholding something, great time to clear things up, to share, to express, to reveal, this sort of thing, because that's going to actually help the connection restabilize in the third dimension. Okay. We also see Jupiter here in trine to Mercury, who is retrograde, and Mars here in Pisces is direct. This is an energy of enlightenment and illumination, which I like to see. If there's something you need to understand about the spiritual connection or the emotional connection, it can be revealed to you now through May when Jupiter sextiles Uranus. That's coming up in May. But there's a lot of like light bulbs between now and then for folks. Lots of downloads concerning the connection. Now, if one of you occupies more divine masculine energy than the other at this time, that person may be in a period of more reflection until Mercury goes direct on March 20th, right at the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. And right on time for rebirth and renewal, which I feel like is a lot of confirmation for those of you who've been intending and manifesting revelation and mutual understanding about the connection and change. The eyes are opening for both counterparts in this energy. It can and it will. I've been seeing it, like I said, with a lot of my, clients, folks who email, members of Star Club. Change is happening overnight in connections in really positive ways. In particular, in the masculine energy partner. Again, you don't have to be in a masculine body. We all have masculine energy. Just going to put that little asterisk in there. Um, I've been seeing that this is opening a lot in the masculine energies right now to change. Now, in the feminine energied partner, um, where the feminine energy partner is holding on to a lot of the pain of the past, or they don't have the capacity to let the masculine energy show up in a new or different way. Let's say they're defensive, expecting the old, struggling to forgive, looking for the other person to pay for the past instead of releasing it and wiping the slate clean for a full reset. The masculine energy is becoming new. It's going to be super important for the feminine energy to open up the space to receive it within yourself. I actually had a really interesting conversation with a client last week where, I was just looking, psychically in her field, and I could see that she was really struggling to calibrate to her counterparts' quantum leaps. And in particular, I could see, connected to certain chakras, there are certain organ systems, and I could see like it was sitting in her system, almost like toxins in a body. And I said, have you considered a detox specifically, maybe in this area? And she said, you've got to be kidding me. My traditional Chinese medicine doctor, practitioner, had said to me, these two organs need the most support. They're struggling. And so I'm going to work on these. And I said, yeah, and I'm not surprised because I could see it. I could see it in her field. And so I say that to say to you that for some, because again, Pisces deals with everything that's immaterial, underground, subconscious, can't access it. For some, you're going to have to go into the cellular level to work your forgiveness process, um, because your cells are repeating the story of the trauma. It's living in the tissues, and it's necessary now to, if you want to calibrate to the new timeline, this is your confirmation. If you've been getting that nudge from spirit or nudge from your body, hey, it's time to release. this is that gentle nudge. Hey, it's a good time to support your health in some new ways, to really calibrate your cellular body for this new energy as well in the feminine field. So, I will also say Jupiter speaking to Mercury retrograde and Mars direct. This opens up some action, Mars direct, and drive that maybe is being kept quiet. That's Mercury retrograde for now. It's not revealing itself just yet, whether it's a spiritual practice, health change, mental health change, home, family, relocation change. The movement is here with Mars direct. It could also be some sort of change regarding mothers, mothering, the family, this sort of thing, where the change is unfolding but nothing's being talked about, said, or revealed just yet. Okay. So if you've been getting messages about changes in the connection coming or brewing, take this as your confirmation to make those changes, especially if you've been guided to uplevel yourself first without announcing it just yet. Okay. We also see a square to Venus in Pisces. Let's see if I can draw that circle again. Here we go. We see that square to Venus, sorry, not in Pisces, but in Aries for Jupiter and Cancer there. This can open up an energy of optimism and love and connection, especially where soulmates are concerned. There can be an energy of overindulgence here also, if that's a pattern that's been used to cope with emotional overwhelm. It's very easy to overdo it with this aspect, like doing too much at the gym, being overconfident in interpersonal connections, drinking too much, spending too much, etc. And in particular, if you know you're prone to losing yourself in romantic liaisons, one night stands, for nervous system regulation, this energy is super present these next couple of weeks. So, to be clear, of course, we are built for co-regulation, but there's a big difference between healthy outlets for co-regulation than just using the closest warm body and friendly face for validation. Okay. Consider this is a good time to talk to a great therapist, a good coach, joining a group like Star Club. Get that connection that you need. Okay. Knowing the difference can have a huge impact down the road as things come to light when Jupiter sextiles Uranus in May. Okay. Lastly, we see Jupiter also in a very loose but still there square with Chiron and Eris and Aries conjunct Ceres. This is where we hit a crossroads because we can get caught up in our pain story or alchemize it to step into leadership in our lives. That spiritual leadership that I was speaking about when it comes to the divine feminine as well, right? Juno is also speaking to Chiron and Eris and Aries. And to be completely honest, both things can be true at the same time. You can be both in pain, feeling rejected, abandoned, or excluded, deeply wounded by that, and leading, guiding, teaching, and being the energy of righteous riot. We can be both. For those in the wounded extreme, this is where the stories about yourself may amplify. So I want to encourage you to be gentle, take it easy on yourself. Remember, these are just stories, and stories can be changed. And for those in the teaching extreme, this is where tension can take the next step in terms of how your leadership shows up, to own what you know, to be more visible, to be more vulnerable, to turn pain into progress, movement, and momentum. This can also be a little bit of, um, no, it's not that. I'm not going to say that. Okay. For all, Jupiter speaking to Chiron and Eris and Aries, a little bit of corrective energy as Spirit is really nudging us forward onto our next highest timeline. So, really good stuff. I love to see it. It's beautiful. Um, it's an energy where, look, we're not supposed to be staying the same or being who we've always been or how we've always been. We are indeed It's time. It's time to take the next step. It's time. You've probably felt it for a long time. And if you don't know how to do that in your connection, we should definitely read together when you book a Star Club membership. You just want to get a new moon or a full moon membership because those come with guaranteed availability. Stellium members get 25 off when the calendar is open. Okay. I would love to read for you. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing. And welcome to the new members of Star Club. Can't wait to connect with you this weekend for our next lunar circle for this Pisces new moon. Take great care and bye for now.